So, welcome to 420-ish tarot, where I try around 420, which is appropriate for a weed smoking witch like myself, to pause for a moment, have some tea, which I didn't seem to make today, but have some tea and a bit of contemplation, inner contemplation for the day, for the evening, and for what our next best step might be. I don't know if you follow Gussie and Graham or Covened Up or you're a member of the Purple Door, but somehow you've connected with me here, and I'm so grateful for that. It is Tuesday, March 23rd. It's a beautiful sunny day here in the Pacific Northwest. And I've really had on my mind today the many things that I'm grateful for. Bear with me. Yesterday, Grim and I did a live stream about coming out of hibernation and kind of what that means right now with the weather warming up and um, little animals starting to poke their heads out again. Even some of the fields, I've noticed there are new yearlings that are not yearlings, new babies that are being dropped in the fields, even as early as right now, which is mid-March, or I guess it's late March actually. Gosh, March has just like flown by for me, so forgive my timey-wiminess there. But one of the things that we all face as we emerge from our hibernation, whether that has been for you just a few months, or if it's been a full-on year since the COVID thing began, or wherever you stand on your own personal hibernation cycle. And by that, we also mean the shadow work that you're doing right now, the kind of inner contemplation that happens during the dark of the year, but also certain times of our life where it's time to look inwardly and really gather perspective. And that's where we are. But as we emerge from that darkness into light once again, um, I find myself coming up to that old word trust that is kind of ever present all the time right now in my daily rounds and hopefully yours. Not so much who to trust and when to trust, and of course that all does take into consideration, um, or that is something you should take into consideration. But the kind of trust I'm referring to right now is the kind that is honoring yourself, knowing that you are no longer, for those of you that started this journey back in the 90s or earlier, like really a self-awareness of understanding your place along the energetic path, the spiritual path, if you will. I know there are quite a few people that follow Grim and I that are around our age um, category, and we all kind of have similar backgrounds where we've, given our lives over to work for so many years, and now we're kind of coming back to this realization of who we are and who we always have been, and really coming out proudly proclaiming that. But in order to do that, you need to trust yourself. You need to trust your core, and you need to know that those spirit guides that we were in touch with in the 90s, that we were all hoping to connect with, those guides have morphed into what I consider like some of our own past lives. They have been guided. We've been guided by our own ancestors. That knowledge was there all along, but for some reason, the way it was kind of disclosed to us through the decades has been kind of remarkable because we all have followed a similar trajectory. Um, but now we no longer are requiring the need for those same spirit guides because they are one within us, one and the same. And so instead of reaching out to connect to a higher source like you used to, look for your spirit guide, whoever his name happened to be, or whatever, you know, parallel universe he or she or it was happened to be from, wherever you connected, that being is now recognized on a more etheric level as just being part of our, thank you, thanks, Grim, part of our overall Akashic record accumulation, if you will. Um, no, I don't want to dive into a deep discussion about that. I really, really don't. Not right now. This is just, after all, a 420 tarot. And I was compelled today, as I sat down here, waiting for 420 to roll around and kind of thinking about what I might say to you, knowing that the words that I need to say will be heard clearly by those that need to receive them. And that what I say, may it be clearly heard and understood. And if it isn't clearly heard and understood, may that lack of clarity spawn further conversation, and may it lead to clarity and wisdom on all parts involved. But today I sat down, and of course I've got my tarot bag that I never am far without. Um, I've also been working with some pendulum energy today because of some obligations I have out there. But I was compelled today to sit down and pull out the Goddess Oracle cards that I use from time to time. I don't typically use them with you. We did use them in honor of naming the pendulums that Graham and I have that we are finding homes for. Um, but I really felt today that this was a good use of this deck, that I would shuffle them, and the card that was intended for us today would pop out, as it often magically does. But instead, what happened was I dropped the box, and the little booklet popped out, and then one card by itself. And so, even though I didn't shuffle this deck, they are ready to work with us. I can feel that. Magic is all around us all the time anyways, and it's something that Grim and I never really ever put away. We constantly live just in that space, that space where magic can occur, as long as you allow for the belief and the structure of it. There it is, and so it shall be. But this card today that I pulled is the Athena card. Now, those of you that study goddess cultures at all will know that she's a rather popular goddess. She is often associated with owls. She is often associated with hunting. She is a warrior goddess. But this particular card and this particular deck says, you know what to do. Trust your inner wisdom and take appropriate action without delay. So today, as we are coming out again of hibernation, yet one more day toward different energy, springtime renewal energy, the gift of recreation as we're stepping forward into longer days for a while, where we can rejoice in some extra vitamin D. And as we progress in that direction, may I just say that I hope you find the trust that you're looking for when you emerge out of your den and poke your head around to take a look at the new landscape that's around you, at the people that are around you, at your trajectory and where it falls, whose life you do affect. May you find the aspect of trust in yourself easy and comforting in its own fortitude. May you find that in yourself. Particularly over the next several days, I feel like we are we've been astrologically, I don't know, I haven't looked, to be honest with you, at astrologically what might be happening right now. I'm sure there are some significant things, although don't quote me on that. But I do feel tumultuous energy. I feel like heavy waves hitting the earth right now. Um, I've been kind of doing my own hibernation for a while, and haven't. I've purposely not been reaching out to see what's going on with the Schumannic resonance and all of that, because I can feel it so clearly, and I'm sure you can too. It just kind of feels like one wave after another, and it's not necessarily all bad things or all good things. It's just wave after wave, and I think that's what we can expect right now. I think that we need to trust in ourselves. If it helps for you to think about calling on the inner wisdom and strength of the goddess Athena, who used her own cunning skills to guide her through the forest, um, if that helps you to focus that energy, um, absolutely do. It's also the time right now of the year where the owls start to hunt. You can hear them outside. They're well, they never stop hunting, right? In certain parts of the world, right? I'm not saying that they stop completely, but I'm saying there are certain rhythms in their lifestyle too. And whether they're about to be hatching some owlets or not, that's to be determined. But I feel all of that sort of just on the trigger of spring just around the corner. And if you can tap into that, knowing that you are part of that yourself, it doesn't have to come from another person that you seek out their spiritual advice or guidance. Much as I'd like to be that person for you, I encourage each one of you to find your own way, and um, to trust that when you do feel that connection, that spark, to know, don't listen to what other people might tell you about if it's evil or wrong or bad or good. That's up for you to decide how it feels in your heart. And that's really what truly trusting yourself and being a sovereign being is about. So, with that in mind, the goddess of Athena, that energy that I am calling in and around us today, this evening, wherever you are, may that inner wisdom, that inner strength and insight that she is known to possess, uh, that strength and insight of the owl, that wise old owl that we imagine, not necessarily old, but wise, certainly, wise beyond years, carries forth genetic memory from one generation to the next, carries that on forward so that they might repeat, knowing where good hunting uh, grounds can be found and where others can't. So I call upon that energy with you now. I call upon that strength and peace and wisdom, knowing that our next step forward is guided by not only ourselves, what we used to once call our spirit guides, but it encompasses a much greater, broader broadcast of energies and entities now, because we have expanded our minds and we know so much more and are accepting of so much more than we used to be. I hope you have a wonderful evening. If you have any questions or you want a private personal reading with me, I offer those as well. You can visit us on covendup.com, or you can find us at Gussie and Grimm on Facebook, or Gussie Dup on Facebook, or Purple Door, or gosh, there are so many ways. We are reachable if you're looking for us. I hope you stay magical. I hope you choose to follow us, because we would love to have you along for the ride. And stay magical. See you at 420 next time.